Hello friends, I am Aman and welcome back to another new tutorial video. In this video, I will explain basics of Python programming as quick as possible. This video is for any age group who are interested in Python programming. If you are a beginner, every second of this video is useful for you, so watch this video till end. What is Python? In short, Python is a high-level programming language. It is also known as scripting language, and that's the reason Python language is loved by hacking community. Tools like Sherlock, NotPy, Ghost are made with Python. How to install Python in your system? To install Python, visit python.org and click on Downloads. Here for Windows, you can click here and download latest version of Python. If you are on macOS or Linux, you can download Python by clicking on Download for macOS or Linux. After the setup is downloaded, open it and click on Install Now. Python will start installing. After the installation is completed, click on Close to quit the setup. To make sure that Python is installed correctly in your system, launch command prompt and type py or Python. If you see this type of Python interpreter in your terminal, that means you have installed Python without any error. So what is Python interpreter? Python interpreter is a program that reads and executes Python code in real time. That means I can write a code here and after I hit enter, Python interpreter will execute it. For example, let's type print and in parentheses hello world. And after I hit enter, as you can see we got result hello world. You can run Python interpreter by typing py or Python in your terminal. To close this interpreter, press Ctrl and Z button and hit enter. Now we need something to write our Python programs. You can write it in any text editor, even in Notepad. But we need something that can highlight the errors, code structure, autocomplete and do other things. There are many editors available like Sublime Text, Notepad++, VS Code Editor. You can use any of them, it does not matter. By the way, we are going to use VS Code Editor to write our Python programs. You can download VS Code Editor by searching it on Google and click on the first result, that is from visualstudio.com. Then click on download for Windows or macOS or Linux. And your downloading will start. After it is completed, install it. I've got it already installed in my system. Before you start writing code, click here on extensions. Search for Python and install this Python extension. This extension can autocomplete your code, highlight errors and can do much more things. This will help you in writing your Python code faster. That's it. Now you're all set. You can start writing Python code now. Now let's write our first Python program. Before moving forward, first let me create a separate folder named Python. In this folder, if I will right click, I get this option, Open with Code. You will get this too. If VS Code is installed in your system, click on it and VS Code will open in this folder. Here it displays a folder name and by clicking here, you can create new files in the folder you are currently in. So let's create a file named hello.py. Files with extension .py are Python files. Here let's type the code that we typed earlier and analyze it. Print and in parentheses hello world. To run the code, click here. A terminal will open and the code you wrote will be executed. You can move this terminal to right, left or bottom of the screen. I will move it to the left. And to close this file explorer, click on it again. So this single line of code printed hello world in terminal. See, if I will run it again, it prints the same, hello world. Here in this code, first we wrote print. Print is the Python function that prints the given value. As you can see, our VS Code is also showing the information about this function. This is because we installed that Python extension and the value is hello, that is in parentheses. So we told Python to print the value and we need to specify that value in this parentheses. Now, what if I will do something like this? Greet equals hello world. And then print greet. After running this code, we see the same output, hello world. Here, first I created a variable named greet and assigned value to it, that is hello world. Think of a variable as boxes in which you can store something and every variable is connected to a value. In this case, it is hello world. And then I typed print greet. That means to print everything that is stored in variable named greet, that is hello world. So we got hello world in terminal. You can clear terminal anytime by typing clear in terminal. Now, what if I assign another value to the same variable greet, like greet equals good morning, and then print greet. First print command printed hello world and the second command printed good morning only, not hello world too. That is because Python reads code line by line. On first line, I told it to assign hello world to variable named greet, and on third line, I told it to assign new value to greet. This overwrited the old value, that's the reason we only see good morning. So this means you can change the value of variable anytime you want. Not only characters, you can also assign a number to a variable. Like here, I assigned 57 to grade, and after I run this, we get 57 printed in our terminal. There are some rules to name variables, like a variable name can only contain letters, numbers and underscores. This greet1 underscore is a valid variable name, and a variable name can start with underscore or letter, but not with number. Underscore greet is valid too, but if I will type 1 underscore greet, we get the red underline. That means it is not valid. We can use numbers in the name anywhere we want, but not at first. A variable name starting with number is invalid and spaces are not allowed to. You cannot add spaces in name. If you want, you can use underscores instead of space. Also try to avoid using Python reserved keywords as your variable name. Like here, I used print as variable. We don't see any error, but we can't use the print function because now we assign print to 57. So the print greet in 4th line will give error, or if we change it to print, it will show error when we run this code. As you can see, print in 2nd line has different color, but after we assigned it to 57, print is in normal color cause we changed the print function to 57. But if I will change the variable name to something else like print, we can use the print function now. There will be no error. Variables are case sensitive. That means greet with all small letters is different and greet with G capital is different variable. In this code, if these two variables would have been same, the 2nd line will override the value hello world to good morning. But if we run the code, we see both values printed because variables are case sensitive, and that's the reason these two variables are different variables. Most programs define and gather some sort of data. Like this variable here is storing some sort of data, and these are called strings. String is a series of characters. Anything inside these quotes are considered as strings. You can use double or single quotes to create strings. This flexibility allows you to use quotes inside strings too. Like here, I use single quote for its inside string, so I use double quotes to represent string. If I run this code, you can see the single quote is also printed. Same like that, if you want to use double quotes inside your string, you can use single quote to represent string. Now, if I want to capitalize first letter of every word in string, for that I need to type the variable name in which the string is stored, and then full stop and title and then parenthesis. Our VS Code was recommending it too. So even though I make this first letter small, while printing they will be displayed in capital, because we told Python that while printing make first letter of every word capital. Same like that, you can use upper to make every letter in string capital and lower to make every letter in string lowercase. Now we will see F strings. Here I have created a variable named first name and last name. If I want to print full name by using these two variables, how can I do that? One way is to create a variable named full name, and the value of full name will be the sum of these two variables. Yes, we can add strings too, but if I will print full name using print, after running this code, I can see full name, but there is no space between first and last name because we just added two strings. There was no space in those strings. If you want space in full name, you can add space in the last name string before you write last name like this, and then you will see space in full name. But there is another way too, that is to use F strings. So in full name variable, we can do something like this. Type F and then use single or double quotes, and then in curly braces write first name, give space, and then again in curly braces write last name. And now if I run the code, we say space between first and last name. This was just an example of F strings. F in F strings stands for format because Python formats the string by replacing the name of any variable in braces with its value. Another data type is integer. You can assign integer to a variable. Like here, I assigned it to last name. First, let me open Python interpreter in terminal. For that, type py or Python. Now like in maths, we add numbers. You can add numbers in Python too. For example, if I will do 4 plus 5, I will get the result. I added space after 4 and then plus sign, so it looks good. It is not mandatory. Here, I added 4 plus 5 without space. We still get 9 as result. We can subtract too. 5 minus 4 is 1. To multiply, use asterisk. To divide, use slash. You may have noticed that when we divided 4 by 2, we got result 2.0, that is float value. Any number with decimal point is float value. So if you want your result to be in integer, use 2 slashes instead of 1. To get the exponent of number, for example 2 to the second, you can use 2 asterisks. If you multiply an integer and float number, result will be float. Same goes if you add or subtract a float and integer, result will be float. You can also assign multiple values to multiple variables at once. Like this. Here, the value of A is 1, the value of B is 2, and the value of C is 3. So these are some basic things about floats and integers that you should know. You can also add comments in your code. This is very useful feature cause as your code gets longer, you should add comments within your programs so that you remember what you have coded. To write a comment, use hash at the beginning of the line and then you can write anything in that line. Python will ignore that line. You can also add 3 quotes at the beginning of your comment and at the end of it like this. This will be also ignored by Python. As you can see, it did not affect our Python program. It ran without any errors. So these are the 2 ways to add comments in your Python program, and you should add comments so that it will be easy for you to remember what you have coded. Now I will tell you about lists. List is a collection of items in a particular order. You can make list about anything. For example, list of fruits. In Python, square brackets indicate a list and elements in the list are separated by commas. Like here, the name of fruits are separated by commas. If we will print a list, Python will print it, including the square brackets. To access a specific element from a list, like I want to print just apple from the list, I can do that by writing the name of list and then adding square brackets and inside that square bracket element number. You must be thinking that number of apple is 1 since it is the first element in the list, but in Python counting starts from 0. So apple is at 0, papaya at 1, grapes at 2. So I need to type the element number 0 and that's why only apple is printed. Since apple is a string, we can use title to make the first letter uppercase. We can also use upper and lower. We can use the list or the elements of list in f strings too. Like this, here I used apple from the list in f string and if I will print it, we can see apple. You can use upper, title or lower in f strings too. To add a new element in the list, you can use .append after the list name. If I want to add banana in fruits list, I need to type the list name, that is fruit, and then .append and in parentheses banana. Now if I will print the list, banana will also be added as the last item in the list. As you can see here in terminal, first there was no banana and after .append line, banana was added in fruits list. But .append adds the element at last position. What if I want to add the element at the beginning of the list, before apple? For that, you can use .insert. This will add the element in the list at any position you want. Insert takes 2 arguments. First, the position where you want to add element, comma, and then element. Like here, I wanted to add banana at the first position, so I entered 0, comma, and then banana. After I run this code, we can see in terminal that the banana is in first position. To delete an element from the list, type del and then list name, then in square brackets position of the element, like 0 for banana. This will remove banana from list. As you can see in terminal, insert added and then del removed it. There is another method to remove element from list. That is to write list name, then .remove and in parentheses write the element, like here banana. So with del and .remove, you can remove elements from list. To find the length of list, like how many elements the list have, you can use len, L-E-N, and in parentheses list name, like here print in parentheses len and again in parentheses fruit. This will print number of elements in fruits, that is 3. You can also print the length of a string like this, same like we did in list, but it printed the length of string 12 instead of 11, cause good morning contains only 11 letters. This is because Python also counts the space that are added between good and morning. Now, what if you want a list that you cannot change, like you cannot add or delete items from list? Then you can use tuples. Tuples are the lists that cannot be modified, and they are represented in parentheses. A tuple looks like a list except you use parentheses instead of square brackets. Like here, fruits is a tuple, and if I will try to add something in tuple with the help of .append, like fruits.append papaya, and then print fruits. If I will run this code, we get attribute error at line 2 because we cannot modify tuples. Now let's see for loops. You can use for loops to loop through lists. Like for items in list, do something. You can use item, I or anything to represent elements. Like here, for fruit in fruits, print fruits. We can use .title to capitalize the first letter. This will loop through the fruits list and print every fruit. As you can see, it printed every element that is in the list. Now if I will tell you to create a list of numbers from 1 to 10, how would you do that? You will create a variable number and assign it to the list of numbers by manually typing it. but there's a simpler way. You can use range function to create a list of number. For that, create a variable and then type list because we want to create a list. And in parentheses, type range. Range takes two arguments, the first number and the last number. So in parentheses, type 1, 11. Now if I will do print number and then run this code, you can see the list of numbers from 1 to 10 in terminal. But we type the last number 11. This is because Python starts counting at the first value and stops when reaches the last. It never counts the last value, so the last number never gets added to list. So if you want the list of numbers from 1 to 10, in range you need to specify first value as 1 and last value as 11. You will see this off by 1 behavior often in programming languages. You can also loop through our number list using for loop, like for I in number, print I. This will print every number in the list. As you can see in our terminal, it printed numbers from 1 to 10. Remember, Python uses indentation to determine how a line or a group of lines are related to the rest of program. Like here, after I wrote for fruits in fruits, next line of code is indented because it represents that next line of code is a part of for loop. Same here, when I wrote if statement, next line got auto indented, meaning next line of code is a part of if statement. If you write code in some basic text editor, then it will not be auto indented, so you can indent it by pressing tab button or else you will get indentation error. This indentation in Python makes code very easy to read. Now here on fourth line, I have added if fruits is equal to apple, do something. This is if statement. So it means that for loop will loop through the list and when he get to element apple, this if statement will execute and this will print I love and fruit name that will be apple. Because we have specified that only print this statement when fruit is apple. This 2 time equal sign compares value and we already know 1 equal sign assigns value. When I run this code, we will get printed I love apple. Oh, the whole list got printed. It is because I wrote fruits instead of fruit. Let me correct it. And this time we got printed I love apple only. We can also use dot title to make A capital or upper or lower. As you can see now, A is capital. So this is how if statement works. You can also add else block. Here that means what to do if fruit is not equal to apple. Like if fruit is apple, print this, else do something else. Like I hate fruit.title. In for loop, if value of fruit will not be equal to apple, then this else statement will be executed. That will print I hate and a fruit name. As you can see, we got I love apple and then I hate banana and grapes. We can also add a elif statement, that means else if statement. This will test another statement like else if fruit is equal to banana, do something else like print I like fruit too. And now if we run the code, we get I like banana too. So this is how you can use if, elif and else statement. Now instead of equal to, we can also use not equal to. The sign for not equal to is exclamatory and equal sign. Like here, if fruit is not equal to apple, do something like print no I don't like and fruit. As you can see now, we got no I don't like bananas, I don't like grapes. Let's see more conditional tests in Python interpreter. If we assign same value to variables like a and b is equal to 1, to test if it is equal or not, you can use two equal signs like here a equal b, we got true. That means it is equal and this true is a boolean value. A boolean value is either true or false. If we say a is not equal to b, we got false. Let's change value of b to 5. You can also use greater than or less than signs to compare two variables. Like here, when I typed a is less than b, I got true and false for a is greater than b, because value of a is 1 and b is 5. You can also use greater than or equal to sign or less than or equal to. So it's same like we compare two values in maths. Same like we compare values in maths, you can compare values in Python too. We can also use in to compare lists. Like in this code, I have made two lists, one fruits, another one fruits 1. For loop loops through fruits 1 list, and if that fruit is in fruits list, it will print we have and the fruit name, else it will add the fruit in fruits list from fruits 1. And if I print fruits list after this for loop, we can see fruits from fruits 1 are added in fruits list. So this is another example for for loops and if else statements. Let's take a look at dictionaries now. A dictionary in Python is a collection of key value pairs. A simple dictionary in Python looks like this, user1 dictionary. It contains two keys, name and age, and their value Aman and 19. In Python, a dictionary is wrapped in braces with a series of key value pairs, as in user1 dictionary. You can access values from dictionary by typing the name of dictionary and then write the key inside square brackets. VS Code is already suggesting me the keys from user1 dictionary. Let's select age. And when I run this code, the value of age, that is 19, got printed in terminal. Now how to get input from the one who's using this program? Like if I want to ask user1 his age and then I want to store that value in user1 dictionary, how to do that? We can use input function to get input from user. So I can assign age value as the age in dictionary and then create a variable named age before dictionary. And the value of that variable will be input of user, and in parentheses I can type message as enter your age, so that user will know that he needs to enter his age. Now if I run this code, we see message enter your age. So if I enter 34, 34 is printed again because of third line that printed the value of age from dictionary. We can make this enter your age look little bit good by adding these two dots, I don't know its name, and then space. So our message in terminal looks little bit good. See, this time it is looking good. With the information I told you now, you can make so many little programs with it. Like this one that I wrote, rating program. This will ask for input from user between 1 to 5 and then it will convert the value of input into integer. Because no matter if you provide a string or integer in input, by default it will be string value. So second line, that is rating equals int and in parentheses rating, converts the string value of rating to integer. Then in line 4, it compares the value of rating to 1 or 2. If rating is equal to 1 or it is equal to 2, sorry for bad experience will be printed. And then there is elif statement, that else if rating is equal 3 or 4, print we will try to improve next time. Else if rating is equal to 5, print thanks. If I run this program, it is working fine. But I have to run it again to give rating for second time. So to keep it running, I can add a boolean value to some variable, like running equals true. And while running, execute these statements. It means while running is true, this while loop will keep running until the value of running is changed to false. And then indent these statements so it becomes part of while loop. Now I need to write these ratings too inside while loop. For that I will just copy paste this. Now we can run this code and program will not quit. It will keep asking for another response. As you can see, I entered 5 and then it printed thanks and again asked me response. We can add a else statement too, that if rating is not between 1 to 5 or is it something else, make running false, so that this program will quit. See, when I typed 6, program closed without printing something. Now here I have two variables, first and last name. So to print full name using these two variables, I can use fstring like this and then print it. But while printing someone else's full name again, I have to repeat this code. But instead of that, we can create a function that will print out full name. Functions are the block of code that are designed to do a specific task. So to write a function for printing full name, I need to type def so that Python know that I am defining a function, and then function name, for example full_name. And then in parentheses what this function will need. So it will need first name and last name. Now I will indent this code in this function. That will create a variable named full name using first name and last name and then print it. Now if we want to print someone's full name, we can write this function and then in parentheses first and last name like this. When I run this code, we got full name printed in terminal. Let's do fullname.title while printing so that first letters will be capital. So this is how you can define functions in your Python programs. Now if I want to print another full name, same like we did earlier, I will write the function name, that is full name, and in parentheses first and last name. When I run the code, we got two full names printed in terminal. You can also save your functions in another file and import it in your program when you need it. For example, let's save this as fullname.py and then let's create a new file named name.py. Now if I want to import fullname.py in this name.py, I need to type import and then full_name. This will import all code from full name in this name.py. To use full name function, you need to type full name, that's the name of the file, and then full name, that is the function. Okay, to avoid confusion, let me change file name to fname.py. Then import fname. And to use full name function, that is in fname, type fname dot and then the function that you want to use. In this case, it is full name. So now if I run this code, full name is printed in terminal. You can also import specific function instead of whole file. Like this, from fname import full name. This will only import full name function instead of whole fname file. By the way, we just got only one function in that file. Now you can directly use full name function like this. Python allows you to give it another name too. Like from fname import full name as f, and then you can use full name as f like this. Same goes for whole Python file, like import fname as f and then you can use it as f. So that's it for this quick tutorial video. Now you are ready to make simple programs with Python. I did not dive deep in these topics cause this video was supposed to be a quick tutorial video. If you guys want me to make full tutorial video about Python and some cool Python projects, just let me know in comments. So that's it for this video. I hope you have found this informative. If yes, then hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.